Hello, everyone. Andrew and Kelly here. Welcome to our final monthly movie mini reviews for the year 2021, the longest year on record. My sister and I watched movies, and we're here to talk about them. So here are all the movies that we watched in December, spread over more than one video.
Yeah.
Because how many movies did you watch in December, Kelly?
6.
Yeah, I watched 27. So,
oh my God.
Now, to be fair, that's less than one movie a day, which is you can watch one movie a day. So we're gonna, am I going to make these mini reviews so we actually get through them and don't spend the entire rest of the year doing this? Probably not.
Hope on some of them we might just have to.
It was fine. Moving on.
You're like, I swear I would not have guessed that number. I was thinking like double mine, maybe like the teens, maybe.
Well, keep in mind also that I was on vacation for almost 2 weeks at the latter half of the month, so I had plenty of time to watch movies.
Well, this is exciting. Now you can tell me what I need.
Although interestingly, the first movie I watched on December 8th. So that's 27 movies crammed into the last 3/4 of the month.
Wow. Well, I did see. So I saw 6, and 5 of those 6 were in El Teatro. So that was fun to be in the theater 5 times in December. So, and one of those times, and we'll get to it, Jeremy and I were alone. And that was it. It was just him and me, and no one else in the theater. And I'm like, this is great. So I spread out, and I kind of spread out, and we were and it was the best.
Put up the armrests. Yes. I'm a man spread.
I'm not gonna man spread. I'm gonna spread on my man.
There you go. All right. So the first movie I watched, which I believe is one of yours, is Encanto.
Encanto.
So we can finally talk about this.
Let's discuss.
I watched it at the drive-in.
I watched it on New Year's Eve, and again this morning.
Oh, really? Is it something the kids are really into, or?
It is their Lion King. Do you remember?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it's their Lion King.
It's just something they're going to watch on repeat for a while. Okay. Well, there are worse things they could watch on repeat.
There are, and
like Coco Melon.
Oh, no.
Something, whatever the hell that's called.
The one that
Good parents do not let their children watch shitty entertainment.
There's a terrible, and I'm talking one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I can't even remember. Wildeberries, Burrow Willies.
It's animated. Is it based on a TV show? The Wild Thornberries?
It's not that.
Oh, okay.
It's the Willoughbys. The
Willoughbys.
I'm telling you now, never, ever watch it. Unless you want to be angry. And it was one of the ones on repeat. So I'm happy for Encanto.
I think I'm not spelling it right. How's it spelled? Do you know?
There's an O-U-G-H in there. Willoughbys.
Ah, there we go. It's got Will Forte and Maya Rudolph in it, and it's garbage.
And Ricky Gervais.
Huh.
I can't describe how terrible the movie is. And it's not just the animation. The animation is terrible too, but the story makes you angry. Please continue. We're not talking about that.
Let's talk about Encanto, which it's pretty. It made for a good drive-in movie because it's bright and colorful and I could see it.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's the music is wonderful.
Great music.
Really love the music,
and
I love
Pressure is just
Surface Pressure is the best in my very humble opinion, humble yet inerrant opinion.
And correct, come at me.
I think there seems to be a faction of we don't talk about Bruno stans, and good song,
great song.
Probably I'd put it at number 2 even, but
I
think Surface Pressure takes it. And I love the dancing, essentially the music video that accompanies each song.
Yes.
I like the world. I like the characters. The design and the animation is on point. They could have done a bit more variety in the female body types, because you've got Louisa, the big and strong one, and then you've got
Everybody else.
conventionally attractive and slim are the rest of the women. The men range from average to muscular to tall and lanky to portly. The women are either Louisa or conventionally slim and attractive. I'm like, that was a missed opportunity, but eh.
I will say I find the father of Maribel, so I'm like, what does anyone
the accident prone guy?
Yeah, he just poor man.
I think he married Mirabel's mom.
He married up
out of well, yes, but also it was calculating, because he knew he would need her foodstuffs, because otherwise he would have died 20 years ago.
But there's got to be something about him. They have 3 children. So.
Also, genuinely funny movie. Most of the jokes land hard.
Not just that, but it's very witty. Like, I will say, the thing that I find very interesting about the movie is there's a lot of they have mastered the side eye, or like they've mastered facial expressions, like just even in Surface Pressure, when she's like, of course, and like, she's like, oh, and like when she finds Bruno's tower and she has the bird on her and they look to each other, and like there's a lot of,
well, at least I have you, Birch. It's come on.
But like there are smart, like, things that I don't think that kids would pick up on, but not in like a naughty way, like Blue's Clues, which is naughty. But we love, or Bear in the Big Blue House, which is our favorite.
That is a horny
back
show.
In the day. But like they're just.
You like taking bubble baths? Are you a dirty, dirty little monkey that needs to be scrubbed clean? Oh my god!
But
is it just me?
I'm like, I can't be the only one noticing all this. You smell so good.
Would you like to smell me? Oh my god! It's an impressive bear costume that they have for that show, though.
Oh my god! What were we talking about?
Encanto,
yeah. Yes.
My one of my favorite gags, humor-wise, is the bit at the dinner table where she tells whoever has the super hearing, and she's sitting there going, Dolores, right? And someone passes the gravy and it gets in the way, and it, and she's like, and the next person's like, oh my god, and she's like, that whole sequence, that is wonderfully choreographed. Love that.
It is. I like so much about it. All right, let's get to the but.
But the characters are, as characters, a bit one note and uninteresting. And I don't feel the narrative totally works, because it's a lot of payoffs that aren't properly set up.
Yeah, so we had this conversation that like Louisa, who's seeing Surface Pressure, is the only one that's really super fleshed out, because that's her song.
Yes. Unlike Isabel, is that the flower gal?
The flower cactus girl.
So Luis, the strong one, right? Trying to keep I saw the movie once and trying to keep all the names straight, because there's like a dozen characters in this film, and they do a great job of differentiating all of the characters. So they handle a large cast very well. I'll give them that. It's set up that Louisa is starting to crack under the pressure. It's shown that people are taking advantage of her strength. She's walking down the street and people are like, hey, could you reroute the river? Could you collect my goats or donkeys? Could you make my house face south so I get good sun on my plant or something? And then she sings the Surface Pressure song, which goes into how she's feeling. And while she thanks Mirabelle for listening to her, it's not resolved. She actually is still dealing with this garbage, and it comes to a head throughout the rest of the film.
Yes.
Isabel, on the other hand, Mirabelle and Isabel have almost no interactions in the movie. They never really talk to each other. They have a couple slight interactions where you can tell that these two just don't really get along.
Right.
So she goes into her room at the end of the movie and she sings her song, the name of which, What Can I Do? Something like that.
What else can I do?
What else can I do? Which probably my least favorite. Not bad.
I do like the dichotomy of like Isabel saying like, what else can I do? And like, bring it in.
It's not a bad song. I just say, if I had to rank them, that would probably be on the bottom of a very strong soundtrack. But this song.
Sorry, there's a big wheel going through my yard with no child on it. I'm like, what is happening? It's pretty cool.
But in comparison to Surface Pressure, this song encapsulates the establishment and setup of the conflict and its resolution. So we learn what her problem is at the beginning of the song, and then she's like, and everything's good now. And I'm like, oh, okay.
So my biggest thing is, and I think that
there's a lot of that in the movie.
It's short. It's too short.
The movie?
Like, yes. When I watched it, it was over, and I have no idea, but I felt like I was like, whoa, it moves really fast, which is great. But like 15 more minutes throughout.
It's actually an hour and 49 minutes.
Really? It feels so short because everything, and maybe it's because of what you said, like because that's because
the plot just zooms through everything. It's like, hey, Isabel, and she's like, let me sing you a song. Did you know that I don't actually like growing flowers? Maybe I just want to grow a goddamn cactus once in a while. And she's like, I can. Problem solved. Okay. Was there anything about the town pressuring you into growing flowers? Because there's nothing in the movie that sets up that she's being taken advantage of, or that people are using her for something, or that she's unhappy, or that she's not doing things that she doesn't want to be doing. It just comes out of nowhere. Maybe I want to grow a cactus. So grow a cactus. Did anyone tell you couldn't? I mean, well, I'm glad this is resolved now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I really did like it because I feel like everybody's, I mean, even though Luisa got to sing the good song, it's just one of those things that I feel like they were like, she's singing it, but we all feel it, because Isabel like needed to feel perfect all the time. Like she was the one with the flowers in her hair, and she was the one getting engaged, and she's the one that like, so for her, I think it was more of like, you need to be this perfect, everything needs to be this, gorgeous thing. So I think that it was, and every time she sings, even when they're in the We Don't Talk About Bruno song, it was like, he told me that my powers would, blossom, and like Maribel scoffs at that. She's like, oh, come the hell on, you're perfect. And she just feels like she's supposed to be.
Dolores gets more of a character arc that's throughout the movie, rather than mostly, not exclusively, but mostly just jammed in her song.
Yeah, my favorite character is Felix, actually. And I think that Jeremy and Felix, like every time I see him on screen, I'm like, that's you, honey.
Peppa's husband? Yeah, he's just happy to be here.
He's just happy to be here. And he calms her down. He's like, I love you. It's okay. And I'm like, you're just great. And he's just like, everything's good. Everything's good. And then
everything is awesome.
But my biggest deal, other than the non-fleshed out characters, is like truly like how they treat Maribel. She doesn't even get to be in pictures just because like there's a big old party.
Well, it's not like she doesn't get to be. It's like they kind of forgot to, Maribel, get on in here. Like, she was being kind of standoffish, but still, it's like no one noticed. And they are really mean to her. Oh, she didn't get any powers. Dude.
Yeah, and I
asswipe. Don't be a jerk.
Well, Dolores is a gossip. What are you gonna say? But like,
True,
it is one of
but
those.
Still, that was kind of dickish.
Right, but it is just one of those things that was kind of like, just because you did, like, she's ostracized from the family. Like, even though Bruno was too. So I mean, I guess they've already set up that they're kind of bitchy because they're like, we don't talk about Bruno. But
Even though, now let us sing a song about how we don't talk about this.
Yes,
we sing.
But like, more than that, it's like, so like they already are. They're known for ostracizing their own family, but like, he's still there. At least Bruno went to go hide in a wall.
Yeah, and Dolores knows it too.
I know, she tells y'all. She tells you throughout the whole thing.
I'm glad she mentions that at the end of the movie, because I was like, there's no way Dolores could not have heard him breathing.
She talks about it, and we don't talk about Bruno. She says, I hear the rats in the walls, and she's like, I hear him with sand, and like, she thinks about it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I can't remember the lyric lines, but I remember the sequence, which has one of my favorite little dance moments where she and Mirabelle are sitting next to, and they're like, I love that move. It's just a really attractive dance move. But yeah, if I remember correctly, it's kind of ambiguous. Like when you go back, you're like, in the walls. It's like, I can hear him in another county. It there,
but she also talks about it when wait for it.
There's a bit where she says, no one thinks this, well, except the rats in the walls. They talk about this all the time.
They talk about it all the time. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
When her Camilo was trying to be Dolores to get
food. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's enough.
Now, to be fair to the movie, I watched the original trailer. I'm like, I bet I could predict exactly what's happening in this movie. I was wrong. But because the movie doesn't really do anything with its premise. I mean, because you think it's like, everyone has magic powers except Mirabelle, but the fact that she doesn't have magic powers is going to be the reason she's able to do the thing and save the. No, actually, the fact that she doesn't have magic powers doesn't really factor into anything at all. And maybe I missed something. Maybe I have a different read on that, but it's like, we didn't give you magic powers because if you didn't have magic powers, you wouldn't be able to, I guess, have the outside perspective that you have, except half the family that married into it don't have magic powers. So they should be able to have the same perspective. And even the people with magic powers should be able to have that same perspective if they weren't asswipes. Also, there's no I'm kind of bothered by they just rebuild the house and it's still magical and everything is reset to default. I'm like, but we learned our lesson. Okay. It bothers me when there's no consequences. Because the movie ends exactly where it started, except some of the characters are like, we should be less dickish or not take our friends and family for granted.
There you go. But that was Mirabelle's power, was to bring the family together and save the magic. So now people are using their magic because they
but that's something literally anyone could have done, whether they had powers or not. Yeah, but if you that wasn't powers, a good plan, House.
I have so much to say on this subject, but we're doing mini reviews. Ish. I disagree. So for me, I truly believe that you have to miss an expectation that has been set upon you for you to find your own way. The thing is that like these powers become expectations. And so when they become expectations, they become burdens.
Yes. And so I've been thinking about doing a video on this. All of these powers are terrible.
Yes. So they're burdensome. And the thing is that the people take advantage of that. And so it becomes like, I can only be seen as this person. I don't have any sort of personality outside the fact that I can grow powers. I don't have any worth outside the fact that I can do this. And so for Mirabelle, who her insight and everything was needed to be able to see that, because you marry into it and you never had an expectation grown on you. Felix just needs to calm Peppa down so that she doesn't, start tornadoes all the time, because she gets a little angsty, which is fine because I relate to that. So like, you know, what is Maribel's dad gonna do? Like, you know, he's gonna get attacked by a badger. He can't help anybody, you know. So it took her to not get the gift to realize that there is something broken. You can't give her a gift and say, hey, this is your gift, is to bring the family together, or like you know, fix things, because then she's like, oh, well, that's, you know, you have to do it in a genuine way to show people that they're worthwhile and that they're more than just who they are. So for me, coming to the end and her getting her door and her being like the house, like I created this house rather than it creating me this time.
Yeah, you finally earned that which I just gave away to everyone else.
Of course you're going to look at it like that. My
It's
God.
shitty.
Okay.
It's really shitty. She still doesn't get a power. She gets a room finally. That's nice.
I wonder what it looks like.
It's
I
probably
hope it has pictures of her.
It's probably
this
that same 100 square foot room that she had before. It just has a nice door with her name on it. It's like, no, you don't get a room, you get a door. That's what you wanted, right?
Oh my God.
But she can play a mean accordion.
She can play a mean accordion. She could, I like, yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking about all the things. There's a lot of good things in the movie, but
there is. Overall, I enjoyed it. I really it's the overall narrative and character work just didn't quite work for me. Not that it's bad. It's just I was like,
But I must say,
working.
Lin-Manuel, hell of a composer, lyricist.
Hell of a lyricist. I'm really impressed with it. I mean, his musical compositions are great too, but the lyrics are really sing. One small critique, and this is not exclusive to Encanto. This is lots of musicals.
Okay.
If you have if there is a character and they're singing a song, there should not be a harmony part, because who's singing the harmony part? That drives me nuts. And Surface Pressure has that, and I'm like, you've got the donkeys who are dancing, just have them singing the backup vocals. But Isabel's song, What Else Can I Do? That has absolutely no excuse. That has even more harmony parts, and I'm like, who's singing that? Who's singing the harmony parts? Mirabel's singing the counter melody. That's fine, but who's singing the harmony parts on the chorus? There's no one else there. There aren't even fun little
flower faces,
fun little anthropomorphized flowers. Yeah, that's totally what singing cacti. That's who can sing. It drives me gosh darn nuts. Yeah, you know, and it's always the ballads too. You know, I think I saw someone loaned me like High School Musical 2 or something, and I'm like, okay, and I watched it. It's fine. And there's this song where Zac Efron, I think it is. He's singing the ballad. Oh, I miss my sweetie because I'm young and dumb and I don't know how interpersonal relationships work. And he's like standing outside by himself singing that song, and there's a harmony part. I'm like, who's singing the goddamn harmony? It's just you.
I love it. And
so I'm like probably the only person that bothers. But I mean, even if a heretofore unestablished Greek chorus just wandered in and started line dancing and singing the backup vocals, I'd be fine with that because it's a musical.
Yes.
Not a problem in Frozen. You know, Let It Go. There's no harmony part in Let It Go.
You
there is
Idina can do her own.
There is an Into the Unknown, but we know what that ethereal
yeah.
So
what else did we see that's the same? This video could just be all the ones that we both saw.
So next, Eternals, which was the second film of the double feature. Saw the drive-in, so Encanto, then Eternals.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. Like, that's another thing that got your numbers up, because when you go to the drive-in, that's two.
You see, yeah.
So, okay, Eternals. Let's talk about.
So Eternals, I watched it at the drive-in.
Hate Richard Madden.
Who?
Please continue. Exactly. The dude.
Oh, Icarus, right?
Yes.
Is that who that is?
Yes, his name
He's
is.
fine. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much into spoilers we want to go. I mean, it is on Disney Plus now, so but he's the bad guy, so it's fine. You know, and he's actually not the lead of the movie, even though he wants to be and thinks he should be, and that's kind of the point. But no, I watched this at the drive-in, but I couldn't see it at the drive-in. So I watched it again last night.
Okay, good.
So I came out of the drive-in thinking, I think it was good, possibly even great. I can't wait to actually see the movie to confirm. And I watched it last night, and yeah, I think it's pretty great. Towards the beginning of the movie in London, Dwayne,
The Rock Johnson, Hathaway,
Cersei's boyfriend. What the hell's his name? David, Danny,
person,
dipshit, Kit Harington, whatever his name is.
Ass clown.
Yeah, ass clown. So they're in London, and then there's this shot. It's at night, and there's this shot under the pier with the guy sitting there and the dog's barking, and the deviant is in the water. And then there's another wide shot of Kit and Cersei walking down the street, and you can see it kind of trailing them in the water.
Yeah.
I could not see that at all.
Oh, no!
I had no idea that there was
okay.
a monster in the water. It just showed up. I'm like, oh, monster. So yeah, in the middle of the movie, when they go and get Druid, there's this scene that takes place, that whole fight with the deviants takes place at night, and I couldn't see a damn thing. And then I found out that it doesn't even take place at night. It's actually daytime. They're just in a forest with thick trees. It's daytime. But at the drive-in, it looked dead of night, and I couldn't see a goddamn thing.
Oh, that's
so
sad.
It was nice to actually finally see the movie.
I should watch it again, but.
And although one thing I will say is my car's sound system has much better bass range, because I guess there's a subwoofer in my dash somewhere.
Ooh, look at you.
Unlike the speakers on my television or the speakers on my computer, because one piece of sound design that I really came away from Eternals really loving was that really bassy bwom that Icarus's eye lasers do. Because every time he shoots his eye lasers, it's bwom, bwom. I'm like, damn, that is a hard-hitting bassy bwom. I'm really liking that. And I watched it on my TV, it's pew, pew. I'm like, where did they screw up the mix like they did with the Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Dude, I talked about Hunchback with the kids the other day because last month they watched it, and I was in here working, and they were listening, or they were watching it, and I'm like, it just like, brings a tear, because I'm like, the Pan, I swear, has an incredible
He's completely buried in the mix. And I checked Disney Plus. It's the same. I don't know if they're using the original DVD mix or what, but yeah, it's still mixed wrong.
I told them, I'm like, the sad thing is that you'll never get to hear what we heard in the theater
back in 1996 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was I just saying about Eternals? Shoot. Couldn't see it. The bassy bwom. But these headphones actually have decent bass range. So I watched it on Disney Plus on my computer. I spot checked it after I was done and listened to it. It's like, bwom. I'm like, oh, there's the bwom. I'm liking that. I like the characters. I like the epicness. I like the fact that everyone has reasons for doing the things they're doing, even though they're wrong. Everyone's motivations are clear.
They're clear to them, and I feel so bad for the little girl, like the little girl one. Yeah,
Ashram just kind of screws everyone. Ashram's an ass. Ashram sucks. And I like the fact that they're like, there's this, it's the circle of life, and it moves us all. And they're like, maybe Tiamat we can just put to sleep, and then advance the technology for the next decade or two, and to get interstellar colonization going and move all these people off of Earth, and then we can get Tiamat to to birth
his
and
big
then
thing,
go
yeah.
somewhere else in the universe and create another galaxy. But then they're like, oh crap, that's not gonna work. So they're like, we're just gonna have to turn him into a big rock.
So
And
yeah.
Kinga is like, is it Kinga? What? Not Nanjiani. What's his name? Actor's name.
Yeah.
The guy in the purple who shoots the finger.
Kumail Nanjiani. Yeah. I don't
Nanjiani.
know. Yeah.
I think it's Kinga or something like that. He's like, I don't think he's like, you know what? We should definitely kill people so that other potential people could live. I'm like, you're wrong about that, sir. You are. He's like, look, this is where I land on this, but I'm not willing to, fight my family over this. So I'm a peace out. You're still wrong about this, but at least I understand what his perspective is.
Yeah.
Because maybe some of you out in audience land disagree, but personally, I feel people that actually exist take priority and precedence over those who don't
yet exist. Yeah.
But maybe that's just me. Also, there's a couple small things. Kit Harington's character is, I think, he doesn't have much to do in the movie. He's just the boyfriend, and then he comes back at the very end. And it's like, I know which character from the comics that's going to be, but
that's my biggest thing about this movie for me as a, oh boy. Okay, good. Sorry, bubbly kind of, it bubbles and then it comes out in a burp. And I have the microphone right here next to the burp. So it's going to sound bad. So the point is, thankfully, I live with a comic book thesaurus named Jeremy. And I can
explain this stuff to you. What's with the sword?
So for him, like he sees that and he's like, oh, that's yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, la 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 la. Just happily going on in my own little head.
Can't wait till this pays off in some upcoming movie that hasn't been announced yet.
So for me, and I did like it. Let's be totally clear.
Oh, I think like Eternals is pretty great. I really liked it.
For me, it was hard because it's so much explanation and like it was like you got to be there. You gotta. It already expects some stuff
it's
from you.
It's not a casual watch. It's something you have to pay attention to. You can't browse Twitter while watching this movie. Otherwise, things are going to be like, wait, what?
Yeah. So
why?
There's a
deep lore.
Good amount going on. And I will say my biggest thing that I was very interested in Angelina Jolie's character, and I'm trying to understand why I was interested in it, because there's a part of me that I don't know if I was interested in it because it was Angelina Jolie and like she brings gravitas to, like, you're like, why would she take this role? She did it well. I'm not going to say she didn't do it well. She did it very well. She embodied but it's, I just wonder, because it felt so, I'm like, why would she take this role? It felt really weird. And like, I don't want to say it brought me out of it, because again, she's a great actress. I think she did well, but it was just such a weird thing.
Was it a little difficult to see Thena instead of Angelina Jolie?
Yeah, I was just like, so, and also because it's not a starring role. I mean, she's an ensemble and she's a badass, but going through a lot of mental health issues, so it was just a weird thing to me. But I was like, but I did enjoy the idea that there would be mental health issues, like, because there would be. And I feel like they are keeping themselves,
because they're essentially like, the genocide brigade.
Yeah. Like, so
they're not there just to genocide the deviants, but all life on each planet.
Life. So it's such a weird. So like for me, I was very captivated by her character and in a lot of different ways. And maybe that's why she took it, because she's like, finally, it's a superhero who's kind of going through some stuff. I mean, Sprite was going through some stuff in her own little angsty way.
One thing,
get it. And
I get it too, but I'm like, really stabbing Cersei in the back? Really?
I know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie though. If I had to spend eternity not having sex with, that'd get me down. I'm just saying.
I think I'd be okay.
To each his own.
Andrew, no sex for you.
Cool.
Well, next you're going to tell me I don't have to eat chicken pot pie. Oh, the horror.
But yeah, no. So, yeah, for me, that would be the horror. So I'd get a little frustrated and maybe start stabbing my family.
Maybe yeah, it's like if I don't get mine, I'm going to start stabbing people.
I'm just saying. Good movie though.
Good movie. I had one more thing. One thing that disappointed me was the Bollywood number was lame as shit. I was really looking forward to. Oh man, they're doing a full. The thing in Hawkeye, the Broadway thing, that was awesome. This was garbage.
See, now I took it the way in like, I must say his character was fascinating to me because
I love the character, yeah.
Because I'm just like, of course, but like I feel like it was bad because he has hit this point of like, I don't give a fudge. Like, I'm going to just be making money. I have money hand over fist. I've been this descendant of these great Bollywood elites for so long that it's just like, he's phoning it in and they're phoning it in. And it's just kind of like,
I don't know. But if he was just that bad at it, he wouldn't be popular, Okay, and I also got the idea that he had a love for what he was doing anyway.
That's true. And that didn't show through because it was kind of like making the Michael Flatler just like letting people dance around him.
Now I like the conceit that he's all full of himself, but I was also expecting that it would be a really high-tiered Bollywood number, and it's not. And I don't have the largest I've not seen a ton of Bollywood, but I've seen some, and like all of it's better than this. I was expecting something as
Slumdog Millionaire ending credits was better.
I didn't see that. I should probably see that movie at some point. I hear it's good.
And my boyfriend Dev, man, represent.
I also kind of like that God in this movie, Ersham, is not just kind of an asshole. Well, no, not flat out an asshole, just a terrible person, but also really bad at what he does. It's like, Ersham, your design is shit, man. It's just constantly patching stuff and it doesn't work. He's like, okay, so I've got this thing where I'm going to use planets to birth more of me. Okay. But the people that need to be there for the energy to get birth keep getting ate by natural predators. So I'm going to make an even bigger predator that eats all the predators. Oh crap, the predators are eating the people. All right, so I'm going to get robots and I'm going to put them there to kill the predators.
I didn't think this through.
I didn't think this through.
I think that's
but to me, and then I'm going to just keep wiping their minds, which in and of itself doesn't always work right. I'm like, oh God, you're so bad at this.
See, but like, think about the world that we have, though. Like, the thing that I find so funny about the world is that nothing works without anything else, anyways. Like, that's the nature. Like, just the high, like the mosquitoes suck. So okay, we don't like mosquitoes. Well, let's get the mosquito wasp
Hawk.
guys out there.
Mosquito hawks,
Mosquito
yeah.
hawk, thank you. I'm like, to get those. And then it's like, all right, so flowers don't do perfectly pollen. Yeah, let's get some bees up in here so the bees can pollinate the flowers. So we can do that. Like just everything. Well, I mean, just think about pharmaceuticals. Like I have this and I need this pill for this. But the problem is that pill
That pill
also
gives me
causes
this, so I need this.
So now I need this. But that pill is going to now do this. So I need this. So because I have, indigestion or something very, banal.
Yeah, I've always loved the commercials that in the quiet, speedy voice will cause diarrhea, bleeding eyes, incontinence, depression. It's like, you know what? I'll deal with the stuffy nose.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I'll just buy an extra box of tissues and go on my way. Like, so yeah. That's my.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. All right. Eternals. Thumbs up.
Eternals. And Icarus did indeed fly too close to the sun.
Yeah, that was a little on the nose, that one. When Icarus.
You know what?
Like,
it was earned. I was fine.
But I knew at the beginning, I'm like, well, I know how this ends. When your name is Icarus, there's a reason.
I was surprised by the number of deaths in this movie.
Yeah, dude.
I wasn't expecting.
Oh!
Ooh, did you just clang your teeth?
Yes! I only started drinking from a cup without a straw the other day, so it's new.
By the way, from a physics perspective,
oh dear,
that's not how the Earth would react to a giant-handed face
pushing
itself through the crust of the Indian Ocean.
So much death.
So, but I mean,
that
would probably alter the way. That would probably just screw up the Earth's tilt or rotation or something. That would, at the very least, cause pretty much a world-ending tidal wave.
Yes, catastrophic. Like
the heat from that would probably just boil all the oceans and kill everything in it. It wouldn't just be hand pokes out and we're done. No, that's that's almost certainly catastrophic. No. It's really cool looking though. I'm like, no, if it got that far, Earth's pretty much over.
Yeah, well, we failed.
I mean, think about it. Something smaller than that killed the dinosaurs. Yeah. I expect realism in my movies where people can fly and shoot lasers out of their eyes.
Amen.
That's right. Okay, so next movie I watched. We're doing good here. We're doing good. 45 minutes, and we've gotten through 2 movies.
Well, yes, but technically 4.
Right, because we've both seen them. So, right. So you've only got 4 left, and I've only got 25 left. All right.
Real good.
White Snake.
Nope, haven't seen that one. Go.
This is a.
I haven't heard of this one.
This is a Chinese movie from 2019 that came out in 2019. And I saw previews for it. I'm like, ooh, that looks really cool. The animation is pretty. I like the the aesthetic of it. It looks actiony and fun. I hope it comes out here. No, I mean you could probably you could buy it on Amazon or something like that. But it never hit Netflix or anything. But I went to the library in Chula Vista to get a library card, which allows me access to Hoopla, which is an online library system where I can check out books and movies and stuff online instead of going and handling actual physical books that other disgusting people have touched.
Dude, I remember when I had a library card in New York. I went to when I was living there, we had a library
card. Remember when we went to the New York Public Library and we got lost? And some guy yelled at us, "What are you doing in here? We don't know where we are. You're not supposed to be in here. We don't want to be in here. How do we get out?"
It's a weird little library, that one. It's not little either. That one's weird, but like, so the actual smaller libraries are where you get the videos and the books and stuff. And not the New York Public Library, by the way. That's not that's research.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, those I remember getting movies, and so this streaming Hoopla is so much better because I remember and I would share with you when I was like, they had the amount of scratches and or jam that was on these discs. Like I was like, Are you people using them as coasters? Like you couldn't watch most of the movies that I was renting because I was trying to just like, but oh God. So it's amazing what people do to
Did you
think like,
play fetch with your dog? What
for
happened to the?
real.
Yeah, back when Netflix was actually a mail DVDs to your house service, sometimes there'd be these horrible scratches on. They'd be sticky. I had one that was
Someone's like making a sandwich and they're like, well, this isn't my bread. I'll just put this back in. What are you doing?
There's that copy of the Boondock Saints. I don't know why I picked that movie out of all of them, but whatever. I had one time, I've had cracked discs, that wouldn't play because they were literally snapped. I had one that was in several pieces, like it was shattered, like it was in like 8 jagged pieces. It's like
that's tough to do.
I'm like,
friends.
how did this even happen?
That is,
But yeah, so Hoopla, the library service, and I had to get a library card in Chula Vista, which is like 15 miles away, because the library here does not work with the Hoopla service, but it does work with the Canopy service. So now I have 2 library cards. Anyway, so White Snake was available to rent from the public library service, and I watched it. And I'm going to read what I wrote about it because it's one of my favorite little actual mini reviews.
Okay.
Here we go.
Go.
White Snake. The compositing and animation can be wonky, but the aesthetic is gorgeous. It's tropey and trite, but simultaneously wonderfully imaginative, disgustingly saccharine, but also endearingly sweet. Kinda dumb, but also kinda awesome. I think I liked it.
Wow.
I actually read that wrong. Disgustingly saccharine, but also endearingly earnest is what I wrote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I liked it. It's a movie. It's heavily based in a lot of Chinese mythology, which, alas, I am not well versed in. So I probably missed a lot of stuff in this. A lot of people are going to go, oh, the 9-tailed fox thing. Yeah, that's representative of the thing with the thing and the thing and the people who did the thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, the snake sisters who turn into a white snake and a green snake respectively. That's that big myth thing that we have. It's like, yeah, I don't know the relevance of any of that culturally. That's not my thing. But it's a movie about a woman who can turn into a snake who goes on an adventure. Yeah, white snake, yeah. Who goes on an adventure because she's a demon, you see, and there's one boy in the village who is not bigoted against demons, and she finds him and they go on an adventure together and they instantly fall in love with each other.
So wait, demons and like my is bad. Like
basically in this context, anything that is not strictly human is a demon. So if you're a human but you also have like a tail, like a waggy tail, you are now a demon.
So it's like a mutant type. It's just
yeah.
Just the noun that they have decided for anyone
anyone that's different. Yeah.
Their otherness is
other. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Got it.
Regardless of actions, it's what you are rather than what you do.
Well, yeah.
Good old bigotry.
Good old isms.
So it's an adventure movie where a guy and a gal from 2 different walks of life go on an adventure together and fall in love and defeat the bad guy. And it's colorful, it's actiony, it's fast paced. It's, as I mentioned, it's very tropey. I mean, nothing narratively is going to surprise you here, but there is a lot of creativity in how things are staged and choreographed and depicted. A lot of the design work is just really gorgeous and fascinating to look at. The characters are fun. The action is fun and well choreographed. It's kind of dumb and also kind of awesome is a pretty good way to put it. It's maybe not the best movie, but it is. I felt a lot of fun and I really enjoyed watching it. And I was what's interesting is I got to thinking about White Snake again because around that time, December 9th is when I watched it. I had like the last week saw the trailer for White Snake 2, Green Snake. And I'm like, oh, they made a sequel. I really I would need to watch the first one. Is that available anywhere yet? And I saw Hoopla. I'm like, I should go out to Chula Vista and get a library card so I can watch
hilarious. That's awesome. So. That's awesome.
So I guess I'll move on to the next movie.
Yeah, this is great.
The Villainess, which is a South Korean movie that I had.
I like the name.
Yeah, good name. What did I say? Some really great action, but the movie's overly convoluted plot, non-linear structure that serves no narrative purpose, and characters that have no appeal besides looking cool equals a pretty boring, unengaging movie.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, then.
It's one of those, it opens strong. It opens with a, have you seen like Hardcore Henry, whatever it's called? Do you remember that movie? Yes. That's a full first person movie.
First off, the answer to your actual question is no, I have not seen it, but do I know of what you speak and the idea behind it and the vomit inducing vertigo that it would give people like me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first 5 to 7 minutes of the movie is an action sequence with our protagonist, who you don't know yet because it's in first person, wandering through a warehouse, just fighting and shooting and stabbing all the bad guys. And it's really well done. It's well conceived. It's interestingly done. It actually switches to third person towards the end of it. And
the end of the scene,
the end of the entire sequence is in third person, and she gets out of the building and is like, I don't know, confronted by the cops or something like that.
Because didn't Doom try to do first person?
Doom has a sequence in the middle of the movie that's in first person, mimicking the game, which is
terrible, interesting,
but it's an interesting thought. I appreciate what they were going for. Doesn't work. It's still kind of interesting. It's kind of cool, but anyway, so it's a strong opening.
Cool.
As just, hey, here's a fun action scene that's creatively shot.
There you go.
Unfortunately, the rest of the movie is kind of a twisty spy thriller where the main character changes her face at one point, and then she goes to her father is killed, and so she's raised by another dude who teaches her the way of beating people up, and then she's absconded off to some shipped off to some school for training lady assassins, and then she doesn't want to be there, so she breaks out, but then she's kidnapped and she's brought back in, and then they let her go and she marries a guy, but the guy turns out to be on the payroll of the organization that trained her to keep an eye on her, but then he actually does fall in love with her, and then he betrays the organization. Oh, god damn. And this is all told non-linearly, so it's constantly flashing back to different places, and it is an incredibly confusing watch. Or maybe I'm just dumb. But it was really difficult to track who was who and what was going on. And even by the end of the movie, I unraveled it. It's not that interesting. There is some really great action though.
Okay,
I'll give it that. There's a couple great, the opening sequence, there's one on a bus that's really nice, but the movie is just structurally an absolute mess. And none of the characters are really characters. They're just cool. They've got really nothing to them beyond their badass,
Sure.
Which can work in cases. I mean, John Wick, there's not much to John. He's just kind of a badass.
The lover of puppies and his dead.
I mean, he's, enough about him to care. He likes puppies, and it's like, you know what? I am on this guy's side.
and technically, there's also like he's played with by Keanu. Like you can't.
And he's Keanu Reeves.
I mean,
someone who by all accounts, is a genuinely good person, which
He's
is
just
always nice.
we were talking about him the other day about how he's just like, what a random life this man had. Like he just kind of like fell into, he was just a dude, and then they like put him in Parenthood, and people were like, oh, he's a pretty good looking dude too, and that he was just this.
Oh God, he does play the boyfriend in Parenthood.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen since I've become a parent. Jeremy and I were talking about this the other day about the fact that like I'd like to see it again, because I have a feeling like I liked it as a kid, even though like how I don't know.
A lot of that
saying
movie
something
makes
bad
no sense to children the age we were when we saw it.
Right.
But it's a decent film, I think. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember a lot about it making absolutely no sense to me when I was a kid. And thinking back, I'm like, oh, I get what
exactly. But and so now I'm just like, yep, that's unfortunately what it is. And then the woman who, anyways, we're not talking about that. I didn't watch it last month.
Yeah. So anyway, The Villainess.
Great name, doesn't live up to it.
Yeah. Some good action scenes though. So, there you go. All right. I'll take the next slew of movies because we've already hit 2 of yours and we got a ton of mine to get through.
Yeah, keep going. I'll just chime in when they become mine too, because I think for the most part, I may have only seen one. No, I've seen 2 that you haven't seen. So 4 of them are going to be on your list.
Okay, cool. All right. So next.